Hi, welcome to eSIM Planet. Basically, in the time that you listen to this intro, you could probably watch 5 videos on TikTok on eSIMs. So yeah, this is kind of a deep dive. We get into the real nuts and bolts of how to download an eSIM from the website Airalo and how to install it on your iPhone. eSIM Planet is partially supported by affiliates, so please go into the comments section of the YouTube video here and click on any of the affiliate links you see down below and we'll get a small commission. So you'll notice in this video there are quite a few little gotchas that are not really explained. I haven't seen on any other websites. But once you install your first eSIM or so, you'll get the hang of it. It's not that hard. The main goal of eSIM Planet in this video is for you to get the best data plan when you're overseas and have a smashingly good time there in Europe or wherever you're traveling to. So without further ado, let's get to it. So click on one of our affiliate links in the YouTube comments down below or on our website and go to airalo.com and click on the login sign up button. In the sign up tab, just enter all your details. So next it wants to verify your email. So go to your email and grab the code, enter that in, and then hit continue. So once we've signed in, you'll see there's 3 tabs at the top, the 3 categories of the SIMs they offer. And you're essentially just going to choose where you're going to. There are 3 types of SIMs: local ones, local as in one country, regional, Europe, North America, South America, whatever. We'll see the regional ones, what they have here. There's ones for Asia, Europe, stuff like that. You'll see here's one. 39 countries, 7 days, here's 100 gigs. Wow, that's quite a lot. 50 gigs is $100, but that's 39 countries. In this case, I'm just going to merry old England. So I'm going to get a local SIM. And there's global ones. If you're traveling, I don't know, God knows where you're going. 84 countries. Obviously, data is quite expensive when you go to. You can get 20 gigs for $89. If you're going around the world or something, you might want to get a few of these global ones just to make sure it works. But I'm going to do local, and I'm going to go to United Kingdom. And I'm just going to, because I'm a cheapskate, I'm just going for 7 days. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to get this guy here, which is 1 gigs for $5. I'm going to buy now. Now, coverage, it says United Kingdom, validity, 7 days, supported countries. This is important here. It tells you what networks you can use. You can use O2 and you can use the 3 network. And it is data only. That's actually important. You're not going to get a telephone number with these guys. It is a data only plan. I want to add something here very important, that when you're overseas, you're much better off using an app like WhatsApp or, God, dare I say, Facebook Messenger or Signal or something like that to communicate with for texts anyway. Because iMessage, and I love iMessage, it can get a bit wonky, really wonky. And if you want to make phone calls, yeah, you want to use an internet-based kind of IP phone. I use Google Voice and the oldie but a goodie Skype that everybody's granny seems to use. Okay, I want to talk about getting a Skype local number and why you might consider that. So my parents had to go to the UK kind of on an emergency trip. They have prepaid T-Mobile, so they don't have a phone number they could even use even if they wanted to pay. And they would like to have a local UK number. Say they want to order a taxi and they want to be called back. The person's probably not going to use WhatsApp. It's the UK. So we got them literally a local UK phone number just using Skype, and it was $7 for a whole month. So now they have this London number, and they can give it out to Uber, taxi, or whoever. They're kind of old school. They're not really using WhatsApp. And it's a great, great idea. And it's just $7 for a whole month of a local number. So that's something else you could do. So go to the Skype website and you click on the country where you're going, in this case, United Kingdom. And then it comes up. I actually got a pull down there and I selected London, and it'll give you a number, like a 020 number from London. And then whenever someone dials that, it'll ring on your Skype app. It's very, very useful. And this is probably the most important thing, is The validity period starts when the eSIM connects to any supported network. And we'll go on about this in a little bit later. So essentially, you're going to install the eSIM on your phone, and it's going to start the activation process. It's not going to activate until it connects to O2 or 3 UK. And you want it to activate when it hits the network, because obviously when it hits the network, that's when you start your vacation. Later on, I did discover that you can actually activate it on the website beforehand. You probably don't want to do that, because as soon as it's activated, the clock starts ticking. So like I said later on, if you have a 5-day SIM and you do it 2 days before, you've lost essentially 2 days out of the 3 days. You've only got 3 days left. So it was just for kind of a little experiment that I activated it and to see what would happen. But you don't want to do that, and I'll explain that later on. So I'm going to buy this now. I already have a credit card in the system here. You'll probably need to add a credit card here. Before you click the complete order button, make sure you go over here where it says apply code, use Air Money, and add in the discount code. The discount code, I will supply it on the screen here, or it'll be down in the comments, and that'll get you a percentage discount off your first order. Once you put it in, just hit apply. So you want to check those 2 check boxes. Then we're going to hit the complete order button. So now you should be taken to the order complete page. So looking at this page, if you look at the top, if you buy a number of eSIMs, they'll be available as like a little collection under this little link over here, you'll see. But we're just going to go to the eSIM details. So on this page, there's some instructions. You don't need these instructions because I'm going to show you how to do it. But the nice thing about this website, or a lot of these eSIM carriers, they tell you how much data you've used, so you can log in maybe every couple of days, every day or so, and see how much data you've used, which is kind of nice. This is Uki Mobile. It's just the name of the SIM. Some of these, it gets a little confusing because you have the network you're connected to, so it'll be Orange or T-Mobile. T-Mobile still, there is a T-Mobile in Germany, obviously. Or O2, that's your cellular network. And then there's going to be these guys, which this might come up when you're installing the SIM. And then you have Airalo, which is the actual company selling it. So you have these names, just don't get confused with them. Sometimes it's a little confusing, we just realize what they are. Show more about the SIM. We kind of went over this. So just a quick note on this button here that says activate now. You don't want to do that because that'll start the clock running. And also, as we see at the end, it won't activate because it's not on the network. So it'll throw an error. So you don't want to do that. So in this case, I have an iOS device. I am going to click on this and activate it, install it, sorry. I'm going to install it via the QR code. So essentially all I'm going to do, there's basically 3 ways to install this. It's with the QR code where you scan it with your camera on your phone. There is via the app. You can download the app, the Airalo app on the App Store. Or you can do it the manual way, where you put in these, you go into your phone settings and you put in some of these details. This is probably the most complicated way. QR code is probably the easiest if you're just using the website. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to switch over to the phone now, and you'll see what happens on the phone. We are now on my cell phone, and I am on a iPhone 2020 SE, an old iPhone. That's what I'm demonstrating it on. You may have a newer phone. I do have a newer phone. This is my test phone. I do have an iPhone 14 Pro, but I'm just using this guy because it's a lot easier when I'm adding SIMs and tootling around. And you can see in Casper, Wyoming, it's 4 degrees. That's not where I live, but that's where my weather is set. I thought Casper, like the friendly ghost. Anyway, we are going to add this eSIM. So all we do, we simply hit settings. And you'll see an eSIM planet. That's me, a bowl of flowers. And we're just going to click on the little green icon where it says cellular. This is the moment of truth. If you see add eSIM at the bottom there, then you know you have an eSIM compatible phone. You have to have been through this before you got to this point anyway. If you don't see add eSIM at the bottom, you just bought a eSIM without having a compatible phone. But I'm sure you have a compatible phone. Now, I have a SIM card in this phone, and it says Verizon. That's its name, or that's the name of the carrier. Actually, Verizon is the network. My carrier is US Mobile. I'm just going to go add eSIM, and up pops the screen. Click on Use QR Code. So now I essentially pointed my phone at my computer screen where the QR code was, and it scanned it. You can see, for those more observant among you, you can see at the bottom it says enter details manually. And if you wanted to enter the details manually, say the QR code wasn't working, that's where you would enter them by clicking on that little link there. So it said an eSIM from Play is ready to be activated on this phone. Now, remember I was saying all the different names: Verizon, Airalo, Orange. Who do we say the carriers were? Orange, something else. Play. Now, who's Play? Well, Play is actually the kind of third-party eSIM provider. So Airalo are a big company, and they buy eSIMs from somebody else, and those eSIMs work on different networks. So just realize when you see this word Play, you haven't been scammed or hacked. It's kind of confusing. That's why I make this video, because I have the beginner's mind. Someone from Airalo obviously did this so many times. They were like, okay, someone just sees Play, they know what Play is. Hit continue. And here we get into the exciting bit. Now, we have this activating thing, and this is where I can go on a bit of a tangent, but I'll just explain it right now as this thing is trying to activate. To activate, it needs to connect to a network. So in our case, one of our carriers, O2 UK, they're like Verizon, T-Mobile, Mint. They're just a carrier, cell phone company. We have to connect to either O2 UK or 3 UK, which is another carrier. We can't do that. So we really can't activate. So it's at least on the phone here right now. We have to be in the country. So when we land at Heathrow, or when we land, wherever we land it has to be the UK, wherever we land, your phone will connect to O2 or 3 UK, and it will activate automatically. So now it jumps to this screen that says activating eSIM. It says you can continue using your iPhone while your eSIM is activating. How very nice. I guess the iOS is not smart enough to say this is a network outside of the US. When you land, it will activate. So anyway, so I'm going to hit continue, and this is where we configure the two lines that we have. So now it wants us to label our cellular plans. We have our primary, which is essentially our Verizon, and then if we scroll down, we have our cellular data, which is our Airalo. So I'm just going to label my primary Verizon. So I'm just going to type in Verizon there, and then once I've done that, hit done. Now my cellular plan, which is essentially my UK data plan, I'm going to actually label that. I'm going to put a nice little, go down here to a custom label, put a nice little Union Jack in there. So I'm going to hit the little emoji key, and my Union Jack's already there, but I'm going to just put UK just to get it. I'm going to put a little UK flag in there, and you'll see why I do that a bit later. And then I'm just going to type in UK data, and that's going to be the name of my Airalo plan essentially from now on. Once I've done that, I'll hit done. And then I'll be back on the screen that says cellular plan labels. You see there's my Verizon, there's my UK data. So I'm going to hit continue and just go to the next screen, which is default line. So default line has to do with making a phone call, a physical, cellular phone call, and also sending a text message. In our case, in the interest of thriftiness, we're not going to use our Verizon line at all to make phone calls or to send text messages. So our default line really should be this UK data. We should check that. But If you are going to use your carrier, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile overseas, you will want to have your default line checked up the top here as Verizon. So in our case, we're going to want to have the UK data checked, that line checked as our default line, because we don't want to use Verizon in the UK. But just to make sure, while we're still in the US, we don't have any funny business going on with the default line, let's just keep it on Verizon for now, and we'll change it once we land. It's now asking what data plan we want to use for iMessage and FaceTime. Obviously, when we're in the UK, we want to use our UK data plan for iMessage and FaceTime. We don't want to use the data from Verizon. Verizon's going to be turned off, or we don't want to use its data. But because we're actually installing this in the US, we want to still keep this on Verizon, and we will change this once we land. So we click continue, and you get to your cellular screen here. And the observant members among you will see our UK data plan is in the activating state. So it's trying to activate, it's trying to look for those two carriers that it wants to activate against. And lo and behold, literally after, I don't know, was it 20 minutes or something? It takes a long time. I was just playing around. It comes up with this message. So it says, unable to activate eSIM. Your eSIM could not be activated. Contact Play for assistance. And then you'll see, oh wow, it says the line's actually on now. It's not in the activating state, which is very confusing. So if you go to Control Center, you'll see the UK line is in this SOS mode. So what does Apple have to say about SOS mode? So according to Apple, if you see SOS only, it means you are not connected to a cellular network. But don't worry, once you land and you actually activate, your carrier's name will be there. So in our case, it's going to be O2 or 3 UK. So the one thing they suggest if you go to the access data section of the eSIM on their website is they say you need to have data roaming turned on. That's the only thing you really have to do. Some esoteric eSIMs do have to have this APN thing set, but here it says it's set automatically, so don't worry about that. So this is what I did. I basically clicked on the UK data line and I toggled the little button. You'll see it'll come up here. It says data roaming. I just toggle that on, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about anything else. So here's what you need to do as soon as you land, or maybe when you're sitting on the plane. Do the following. So in scenario 1, if you're going to be using, say, Verizon, your US carrier, to send texts and make voice calls overseas, make sure that the line is turned on and the default line for calls, default voice line, is going to be Verizon. And the most important thing is to make sure up here, cellular data, make sure that is on UK data. You do not want it on Verizon. They're going to start charging you for data. And if you don't have a plan, that can get super expensive, really expensive. Okay, so the scenario that we have, if we are just going to use our phone as just in data mode, no cell phone number, which is what we have with our UK data, then we're just simply going to turn off our Verizon plan. Just turn it right off. That means you're not going to get any whoopsie-daisies. There's no way that thing can use data. It's not even turned on. So that's all there is to it. So I just want to add some feedback here. My folks who had to go on an emergency trip to the UK, very, very non-tech savvy, all we did was we just turned their line right off, right at when we were at DIA. I grabbed my mom's phone. I just turned the line off. I kept their eSIM on. And literally, my mom didn't have to do anything. When she landed, my mom and dad, they didn't do anything with their phone. They got off the plane, and then they, I think they used Skype to call the taxi. They didn't have to turn anything on or off or whatever. So that's probably the easiest thing to do if you're a total noob. And then one last thing, if you've done all this and you see your phone is actually, it's activated, it's sitting on the O2 network or the 3 UK network, and you still don't get any data, you can't bring up a website, you could try two of the following. Just turn airplane mode on and off again, or the old faithful, just turn your phone off and just reboot it. Just turn it off and turn it on again. And if you don't know how to do that, you can see the knowledge base article at Apple, and there'll be a link on how to do that. Well, bloody well done. You sat through it all. Thanks for watching the video. And remember, for low-cost data plans for your upcoming trip to Europe, go to eSIMplanet.com.